Hi guys, it's Rochelle from Monnow Furniture again, early morning. I've got some beautiful pieces to do this week for a customer. Here's one of them. Here's another, the mirror to match, and I've got a TV unit as well. Beautiful pieces. They want them white. White, people. I know they'll end up looking beautiful, but I want to need your help to get me through this. There may be more humour or more tears than is normal. And a lot of procrastinating. I'm anticipating there's going to be about 6 or 7 coats going on here. 2 or 3 primer, 3 or 4 paint. I'm going to have breakfast. I'll be back. I'm just going to base this video on this one, I think. I'll look at the mirror tomorrow. My procrastination started already. Well done. Okay, it's really nice. It is a lovely piece and it will come up really nice. And it's not going to be too much work. Oh, really, Rach? Really? Anyway, okay. So what I'm going to do is sand the top back, and I'm going to go in with... Oh, I might have found my perfect procrastination tool. I think I'm going to go with How Now, and it hasn't arrived yet. So that would be good, if that's the case. Anyway, I don't know the colour. So this comes off easily. This isn't usually the case. Usually they're glued on. So I was really happy to see this. Otherwise, trying to get into these edges is a pain. So I'll actually take that off and I'll paint that bit, because I don't want to try and sand around that. That's not going to happen. So that will be coming off and get painted. This is going to be stained. Let's have a look how the drawer fits in. Okay. So there's plenty of room at the top and bottom, so that's not an issue. But the edges are really tight here, so I'll probably give those a sand before I paint, because you can't leave the edge because you'll be able to see it, so that's not good. So I'll give those a sand down beforehand, just so I can put a little slither of paint there, just so you can't see that edge. And I'll do that on both sides. Looks okay that side, but best to do that. And the bottom is going to be painted. It's a really nice solid piece. I do like it. I like it better when it's finished. That's a fact. Yeah, so there's the mirror. Not sure what I'm doing with that yet. In terms, she just said keep a little bit wood and paint the rest. So I will probably just keep the base of it wood if that comes off. I'm hoping it comes off. It can be sanded easily. Oh, let's move away from that. Focus on this. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be white and stain. The white, I know that I'm going to be using Carter Millie Daisy's milk, and I'll mix in some of their top coat with the final coat. And like I said, the stain I'm hoping will be How Now, but that might have to change if it doesn't arrive today. Right, wish me luck, guys. Right, time to get sand in. I anticipate that this is going to come off quite easily. It's sort of flaking off over here anyway. But this is I think he said he bought this in 1999. So it's been on here a while. It's got a fair bit of damage, scratches and stuff, but that'll come up easily enough. I've taken the back off already, and I've got these curves to work with, but they're quite big curves. See, they're quite big curves, so not too much of an issue, hopefully. So you see, I guess. Right, so I'm going in with my 120 grit and my usual Bosch GEX125 AVE Professional. Right, let's get to it. Right, as I thought, that came up, like, that came off really easily. It almost took itself off. Now there's a few, let me see if I can spin this around to show you. A few black patches within the grain. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that. So here there's, and it's just the grain, you can see that it's in certain strips that it's doing that. Now it doesn't matter for the stain I'm going to be putting on, so it's going to be Monnow or a dark brown stain of anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if I wanted to whitewash this, I'd need to do something with this first to give me an even coat, and that might be a little painting, you know, just a little whitewash underneath it first and wait for that to dry just to try and camouflage it. But otherwise, if you just go straight over with a whitewash or a really light wash, it will actually accentuate it. Sometimes it'll go like a blue or a greeny colour, so you need to be mindful of these dark areas. But in this case, I don't need to worry. So now I'm going to get the palm sander out and do these edges. I won't show you because probably be a bit tedious. But yeah, I'm going to get on with that now. Right, that's sanding done around the edges mostly. So this has been done with the mouse sander, palm sander, hand sander, whatever they're called. But I still need to get into this groove, so I'm going to do that by hand. I'll just fold over a piece of sandpaper. I've seen some people fold over it onto a ruler or something like that. I don't know where mine is, so that will be happening. Right, let's see how we go. Right, so this is just sandpaper that I buy on a roll. I got this from Bunnings, but I've just found that Sleek brushes do it as well now. I'm not sure if it was cheaper, but anyway, they do it in bigger rolls, so I just got some from there. So all I'm going to do is, this is an 80 grit. I just fold it over into a point, roll that over my toe, perfect. And just stuff in. Because it's quite coarse, quite hard, it keeps its shape well. But I can see where there would be a benefit to putting it in a ruler, because otherwise if it's not so coarse like this, it would just sort of crumble. And if you were to leave some of the dark, and that's fine to do it if you're putting a dark stain on, but you still need to make sure you get to all of it and rough it up. Otherwise, if you're going over top of a varnish that hasn't been roughed up, it's going to stay shiny, and when you put a stain over it, the stain's not going to take, and it's just going to sort of make it glow. That part would be a gloss finish, and the rest would be the satin finish that you're hoping for. So yeah, you need to, even if you can't get it all off, at least rough it up. Right, so I'm going to go around the rest of this now, and then I can get started on the painting. Right, it's 9:30 and the sanding of the top is all done, the rough sand. As you know, after I've done my paint, I do a final sand on the top, a smooth sand. So what I'm now going to do is scuff sand it all over, clean it with white lightning, wash it off with water, and then start painting with the undercoat slash primer slash blocker slash tanning blocker. I'm not going to record me doing the scuff sanding and the white lightning cleaning, etc., because you've seen it on all the other videos. Just go back and watch those if you want to see how I do it. Right, I'll come back when I'm starting to paint. Right, time to get some paint on this thing. First of all, I'm obviously going to prime it. I'm going to be using the Puerto base and blocker in the white. Now, the reason I use this, firstly, obviously it's an Australian brand, so you know my thoughts on that. But it's also water-based, so you just sort of treat it like normal paint. Open them first, Rochelle, before you put the camera on. Yeah, so you just treat it like normal paint. So it doesn't really have any bulk, which I've found with, oh man alive. You just know I'm going to spill this on me in a minute. I'm going to end up drinking it. It probably says on the label, not for human consumption. Right, we're getting it. Right, so just treat it like normal paint. It's water-based, you clean it up afterwards, just with water. So you can use any of your good brushes as well, it's fine. We're open. So in the past I've used shellac, the Binzin's red tin, which is shellac base, and that's really good for blocking in the tannins. It's horrible to work with though. It stinks, it's gluey, and it creates bulk and texture on your piece. You can sand it afterwards, it's not a fight, not a problem. It's a good product, it's a great product. I'm just lazy. Right, so I'm just going to stir it. And my aim for this is just to get full coverage, and in doing that I'm going to get the best outcome of the blocker, so it's going to block, but also I'm going to be putting less paint on, because as you know, or if you don't know, you're going to about to find out, white is a shocker. Any other paint other than white is great, even grey, even a light grey, any other colour, but as soon as you talk white, oh, it's another game. Right, I'm just going to show you a little bit of this going on so you can see what it's like. So I'm using my my Klingon, so it doesn't need to be a cheap brush, you know. This is water wash up, so see, it's pretty big, good coverage for a white and for a blocker. So that's good. So I'd say we're going to use two coats of this. So it's pretty good coverage. So I'm happy with that. I've done some pieces and it's been three coats of the blocker and then 4 coats of paint. That's not fun. Like, who wants to do that? Not me. I'm ready to move on to the next one. I'm stabbing it in the areas with these little holes. Little dints. Just so it goes in. Right, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to smash this out now. I'll come back to you when all the primer is on, so that you can see what it looks like then, and then we'll start on the paint and I'll show you what I'm going to be using. Right, the second coat of primer is on, and we still have some bleed through, so we're going in with number 3. White is just the gift that keeps on giving. I did say at the beginning it was going to be 3. I was hoping it'd be 2. It's going to be 3, and you never know, it might be 4, because until this bleed stops, there's no paint going on it. Actually, you should mention, when you've got your couple of coats on, or maybe even 3 coats of primer on, and you can see where the bleed is, you don't have to go all over everything. So I'm just going to go over these areas now that are bleeding. And just give it a good scan, because I've got full coverage with the primer now, so it'll be doing its job in the areas that it's not bleeding, but I just want to go over these and make sure we block that out. Finally, the bleed is under control. Like I said, I only did extra on those parts here. It was literally just this strip along the front that had the extra bleed, so that there probably had about 5 coats in total. So now I'm going to go in with the paint. I'm not going to get you to watch me painting white over white over white over white. It's killing me. You don't have to see it. I don't have to. Well, that's not white, is it? Oh, here we go. That's Black Bear. That's a lovely paint as well, by the way. Right, let me go and get the white. Oh, jeez. Here we go, here we go. Right. Cartamilli Daisy's Milk. So this is one that I'll put a top coat in the final coat. I don't actually need to put a top coat in the final coat. I could just put the top coat on its own. I just think that if you're going to do another coat, you might as well have some colour in it to cover up patches in case it's needed. But it's only really with the dark colours that you need to mix it in with it so you don't get any streaking. Okay, so this is Daisy's Milk. Obviously I can't paint it direct from this, so I just decant it. It is a 3-in-1, so it does have a built-in sealer, but it's a matte one, and I prefer the satin one, as you know. So I'm mixing the top coat. Now, I was using the Klingon for this, but it was too heavy. That was a bad move. It was too heavy, so I'm going in with my sleek now. This is the 38mm. It's a bit wet, so I'm just drying it off. I probably prefer the 25, just because I prefer a little bit of a smaller brush, but this does the job well. These are lovely brushes, and they're nice and light as well, and cheap. So you can watch me put a couple of strokes on this, and then the misery will be over for you. It will continue for me, but it'll be over for you. Oh, it's already nicer painting with this, to be honest. It was hurting my arm. I don't know if it's my age or what, but... Right. So that there now, that's 3 coats of paint, 1 coat of... Sorry, 3 coats of primer, 1 coat of paint. I'd say it's going to be 3 coats of paint. That's what I'm going to call. Okay. I'll be back to you with a smiling face when this is done. Right, next coat of paint is about to go on. You can see she's starting to look the part. So at the moment it's 2 or 3 coats of primer. I can't remember what I did. I go a bit snowblind when I'm doing white. And then I've got 1 coat of paint on it. So I think the way it's looking, it'll be another coat of paint, and then I'll do the top coat built in into another coat. What I generally find when I do white is every time I look at it afterwards, I see another spot that needs touching up. It takes a while to feel 100% comfortable with it. I also just wanted to mention a young lady called Taylor, who is another young lady that has started doing furniture flipping with her mum. It's fantastic. She's been watching these videos and it's getting stuck in. I've seen photos of her with her mask on and painting. I love it. I love it. So make sure you send me photos of any pieces that you do with your mum, Taylor. That would be fantastic. Okay, I'm going to get stuck into this now, and I'll be back when this paint is finished. Right, we're there. Painting is almost done. Just time for the top coat now, the final coat, which will have the top coat in. So I'll probably mix it about, because this is really for the top coat, not for the paint now. Adding the paint into it is just a bit of a bonus, really. Just a little bit of extra insurance, if you like. So I'll probably go about 30% paint, 70 top coat. And I'm going to fill this pot up because I've got the mirror to do and a coffee table, so I'll just keep that then for afterwards. So I'm using the Cartamilli top coat again. I'll just give it, oh, I forgot to open it. Oh, it opened straight away. I'm stronger than I thought, look. Right, using my Bunnings mixer. Oh, just splashed it straight all over me. I'm covered. Dead set covered. Seriously. Does anyone else wear... I've got aprons I should be wearing. Does anyone else wear when... You've seen me, I'm in pyjamas, no shoes. I'm covered in paint constantly. I don't care. I think you know by now I don't care. Right, so now I'm just going to pour this in, top it up, mix it. that's water-based and the paint's water-based. That's why you can do it. Let me get a mixer. Oh my god, I'm covered in stuff. Covered. Right, where's my little craft sticks or tone depressors? Just stood on the stirrer, flick that everywhere. No surprise really, is it? Right, so just use this to stir it up. Like I said, I'll keep this to use on the other pieces, then when they're done, this will just go in my mix pot. My mix pot, I've now got 3 pots of, I think they're 4.6 litres, weren't they? I've got 3 of them full now. I really need to start painting some custom colours. Right, I'm going to get stuck into this, then I'm going to do the top. And I'll probably sand and stain the two separately, the 2 pieces separately. But I'll bring you in on that. Okay, back to you soon. Oh, it feels so good to have all that painting done now. Okay, I'm now going to go and smooth sand this with my Bosch sander and 240 grit. I'll hand sand around the edges with some 240 grit as well, and then I'll come back and do the stain. I'm not going to get out of you watch me do this because you've seen it enough times, but then I'll come back and show you the stain I'm using and show the application. Right, I was hoping to use Carts and Millie How Now, but it hasn't arrived, so oh, this lighting is awful, isn't it? Let me try and position you better. Is that any better? The sun's just come out really bright, so right, yeah. So I was hoping to use Carts and Millie How Now, but it hasn't arrived, so I'm going with what I've got in stock, which is Dixie Belle Voodoo Tobacco Road. This is nice. I really like this. It just doesn't have the work time of the other brands that I use, so of the FURRY and the Carts and Millie that I regularly use. This just doesn't have the same work time, so it means you have to be really careful with your stop and start mat. So it's really, I've actually dampened the cloth a little bit, and I've taken the squeezy top off. Right, so from one end to the other, don't stop and start because you will see it with this. So this size is fine because I can go from one end to the other. But just don't put your sponge down in the middle and then go out, because you'll see the stop start marks. I'm hoping you can see me. Sorry if I'm going out of a camera shot, but I'm just mindful that I need to get this on in one. There, and see, you can see a darker patch there. That's where I've gone over it twice. Now, obviously you get that with all of them, but because you don't have so much work time, and I don't understand why, but it's just the fact with this one. But it is a really nice colour. You see it just soaks in, and once it's soaked in, you can't really manoeuvre it. You lose control over it, so you need to work really quickly. And I'm sort of scrubbing it there to try and even it out. I literally can't see the camera myself at the moment because it's so bright. So, right, you see the stop start there? This isn't one that you can sort of do it mindlessly. You really have to be thinking about what you're doing. Obviously you can go over it and you can touch up the areas that look a bit dodgy afterwards, but it's best to get it as good as you can on the first go, isn't it? And the customer does want this quite dark, so I will be doing another coat, which is why I was okay to use this. You pretty much have to do a second coat with this one. That's what I find, to tidy it up so that you don't have all this patchiness. With the others you can just keep going and it sort of goes on really well, really quickly, but this one not so much. But I've got a couple of pots of it, so it's going to get used. I just won't run back to it anymore. I don't need it now. I've got the others. It would possibly help if you water it down a little bit. That might be an option. Which I guess would just mean that you'd need more coats to get the colour that you're wanting. And you can see that it gets lighter. Well, hopefully you can see. I don't know what you can see actually. I can see anyway that as it's drying it gets lighter. So you can go straight back over it. It dries really quickly, which is why there's a bit of an issue with the work time. But you know, it's a beautiful colour. Right, there's little notches there that have got the light in it. So those ones are pink filler over nails. It's never good. So I'm just filling those bits in. Right, now I'm going to go again and even this out, and now I'll do the edges too. You see me say a million times I generally do the edges, the ends last, because it takes the stain so well. The front, as it runs the grain the same way as the top, we'll just take it the same as the top, but the sides it'll really sink in, soak in, so it takes it better. So if you're thinking about doing a couple of coats on the top, just wait to do the sides to match it up. Because there's nothing worse than making it really, doing the same amount of coats on the side and realising that it's twice the depth of colour on the sides than it is the top, because then you just have to go darker on the top to match it. Right, so now I want to go do another coat on this top. And you can be a little looser on the next coat because you're pretty much just filling in the gaps. So I'm a little more free. And it doesn't soak in as quickly because it's already had a soak in. So you get a little bit more work time when you go over it the next time. Nothing wrong with this stain at all, it's really nice. It's just not my go-to anymore. For the reasons I've highlighted. Maybe I should do a giveaway of a lot of stock that I've got in my shed that I don't use anymore, the brands I don't use anymore. Nothing wrong with them, I've just got so much stock. Whenever there's a sale on, I buy paint. I very rarely will pay full price for paint, as usually when it's on a sale, or if it's a customer order and they've asked for a specific colour, because I send them the links to the websites that I buy from. And I never buy over the RRP. I know some stock is there's an RRP, and then some stockists go above that to cover their costs, obviously, but I've got to cover my costs too, so that means keeping my purchase price low, so I won't pay over the RRP. Another big factor for me where I buy my paint from is if they're GST registered. Because I'm GST registered, that basically reduces the price by 10% really, if they're GST registered, because that just reduces my GST liability. So, oh look, I'm just rambling again. That's really nice. Right, now I'll do the sides. You probably can't see any of that. I'm hoping you can see a little bit. At least you can hear me ramble and you just skim past it. Just fast forward. See the end product. So over top of this, I will put the Carts & Millie satin top coat, which was what I used on the body. And then we're good. So next time you will see this, she'll be finished. I won't show you the top coat going on. I use the same sponge, same process as you've seen on lots of others. This one's probably long enough already. And it's flipping hot out here. I just want to get it done. I'm going to get myself a drink and put my feet up. Actually, let me look what the time is. I think the time, for those keeping track, a lot of people ask me how I do pieces so quickly. I don't know, I've always worked quite fast. I think it's probably about 3 o'clock now. Same day that I started it. Obviously I always try and finish a piece the same day. So yeah. Right, thanks guys. She's all done, pretty much. I'm not going to put the top coat on it yet because I forgot. I've got the other pieces that I'm doing, and when I'm doing matching pieces, I prefer to wait until I've got the stain on all of them, so that before I top coat, so that I can make sure that I match them all well. So I've got the stain at the same depth of colour. So I'll just get this set up, take some photos, and we're done.